Well, hello, welcome to my bathroom. Echoey! So today I plan on painting the ceiling. Just of this bathroom. I do want to do my whole flat, which is a 2-bedroom, so I've got bedroom, home studio, hallway, then like the living room, dining room, kitchen. It's a lot of ceilings, okay? First step though is going to be this bathroom. I feel like I'm starting here because it's the easiest one that if I mess up, it's okay. You know, smallest area, it's just my bathroom, it's the ensuite. So I think it shouldn't be too bad. I've got with me a couple brushes to start off. I'm going to be doing a little bit of an angled brush to cut in the edges, and then I'm going to be rolling on top of that. I've got with me some bib and brace. It's just, you know, I want to wear painting kit so I don't damage my clothes. And also I've got a few drop cloths to cover things like this mirror, the glass. Don't want to get ceiling paint on everything. All right, let's set up. So I've got my drop cloth here, and I'm attempting, I don't even know if this is even called a drop cloth. This is the thing. I am not, by any stretch of the imagination, anything except for an amateur. I'm someone who's not even painted anything except for a little spot. So I think that's what makes this as a concept very interesting, is that I'm just a normal guy hoping to do some do-it-yourself and see what happens. Case in point, I've just discovered this is folded in half. It's actually double. All right, I'm gonna protect myself. I need to start over already. Okay, wow, this is so much more than I had when I thought it wasn't folded in half. Look at that, that looks great. Now, it looks like I just need to make sure I covered this wall over here. Ta-da. And I need to cover the floor, obviously. And then I guess prep done. Oh, it says prep done. I have to like unscrew the lights so I can paint within. All right, so definitely not the best job in the entire world, but I just need to remove the lights actually from the tops there. Once I do that, I think we'll be good to go. Like I said, gonna attempt cutting in with an angled brush. Hopefully I do an okay job. It is just the bathroom ceiling, so it's not that big a deal. Obviously, hopefully, the main goal maybe is to do this one today. There's just so much in this room. So first step I'm going to be doing is opening my ceiling paint. This is ceiling paint, so it's like ultra flat. So even if I'm not the greatest painter, hopefully the super flatness of it covers up my errors. There will be there's no like natural light in this bathroom, there's no windows, so I don't necessarily have to point in a certain direction, but as there might be natural light coming in through this door, I'm going to be painting in this direction, just so you can't see like the lines of if I do make mistakes overlapping the wet edge. So this is a 13-in-1. Listen, you could say 14-in-1 at this point. You could use it as a murder weapon. This thing is supposedly an incredibly useful tool. I've already used it for a lot of things, for spackling, or in the UK, I can't remember what that's called, but basically polyfilla if you have any holes in the walls. It's also used as a hexagon stencil. You can use it for a lot of things. I believe you can use it to open up your paint cans. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like that is something it might be able to do. Also, it has like an interesting feature. There's even like a hex screw in the bottom. They just kept adding features to it. Like I said, murder weapon, 14-in-1. Okay, let's see. If I do have, oh, there we go. Open up the paint. Now, as opposed to just dipping straight on in to the paint can, I've got myself this little painter's helper, painter pal, I can't remember what it's called. Whoop! And the goal being, it's a lot more lighter weight, has a nice little thing for my hand, and it's even magnetic, so my little brush should be able to, look at that! Fancy. All right, as you can tell, I did do a lot of research. Oh, this is why I put the stuff down, it is already dripping. So I did a lot of research beforehand. If you're interested in any of the stuff that I'm using, by the way, I will have links in the description, the old affiliate links, if you want to use the same exact tools I have. Unless I do a really bad job, then you want to avoid those. So, first step, pray to God, Jesus please. Next, all right, I'm gonna, woo, all right, pour it in. Oh, thank God, I thought it was just gonna go everywhere. I think that should be enough. I don't wanna like have it be way too full. You gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, okay? That's what my French dad used to say. I never had a French dad, but if I did, that's what he would say. Well, something scary I didn't consider in this. I have to reposition the camera every time, so my hands need to not have paint on them. All right, I'd like for this camera not to be covered in paint. So, let's see. I've seen so many people do this, and yet here I am like, but how do they even hold this? The most basic of things. Is this ultra wide? What? Okay, now you can see much more. So, oh, I think it's right here. So you can look at that. So I don't even have to worry about this thing. Just slip my, wow, that is very comfortable. So from what I recall, you don't really want to put paint right up against the edge. You want to start a bit further and then feather it in. It's so weird because like I feel like I've seen and I know what I meant to do, but I've never applied any of it, so it's all gonna go out the window. You know, look at that. All right, drippity drippity. Let's get excess paint. This is a huge brush. I'm wondering if I should have not gone with such a big brush to start. Let's go. Okay, we got a little bit. We got a little bit of the wall, but that's okay because we'll be painting that over, you know? Let's see, so. Hey, that's not so bad. Obviously I'm learning and it's meant to be like that. You're meant to be far away. Evan, why didn't you tape off the wall? Like I said, I'm gonna be repainting the wall anyway. I just forgot. A very, very important step in this entire thing, actually, is supposed to be to sand the ceiling. Now, looking at it, I can see that the builders have left me quite a few boogers, which I've just picked up as a word, just little dots that shouldn't be there. So I know that I've just kind of started with this, but I'm going to do a quick sand of everything. Doesn't really matter, but I want to at least try my best. So I've got this 360 sander. It's essentially so I don't have to go up and hurt my back sanding. I've got this little extension pole, which I'll be using for painting with the roller as well. If you're wondering like why I'm making such a big deal out of sanding, by the way, basically to really ensure for the entire paint job that it's extra smooth, professional looking and whatnot, you want to remove any imperfections in between each coat. Now, after their finishing job they've done, they left so many marks that it's just best for me to sand all of it so that it's nice and smooth, and then after my first coat, I'm going to be sanding again, just to really ensure a good looking job. I'm using 100 grit, so that should be good on this. Yeah, you can tell I did a really bad job around the lights. Will I do better? Well, around the corners. Also, another extra thing to note, sanding as well, it does a really good job at making little tiny, let's just imagine it as little holes, making it a little bit more porous, so that way the paint that you apply, the coat that you applies better, so because there's like more area for it to go to. So, like I said, I understand a lot of theory, it's the application that's bad. I'm glad I'm finally doing this. This was always something that was a big, like, giant thing in the edge of my mind, because it is a huge task. One that is also not necessary, you know? So I'm doing this because I want to, because it took me 6 months to get a house, as in, like, it took way longer than that, but it's 6 months to go through that horrible process, and it's my own house, and I want everything to be my own, you know? So I want to choose, and you're like, Evan, you're doing white on white? It's a warm white, actually, so very different vibe. All right, I'm so glad I put the cloth down. All right, and how do they do it? See it all over the wall. It looks good though. I actually quite like it. Like I said, it's a bit of a warmer white, and I think it'll warm up the bathroom ceiling. I'm doing a dark blue for the walls. I'm gonna be so excited when I actually get to paint like the walls. The ceiling seems like such a ball ache. Out of all the brushes and different equipment I've bought for this, nothing compares to the simple blue rag. I was able to cut in effectively. I do see a bit of a wet edge I'm gonna need to feather over there, but I was able to cut in successfully over the tile area without much stress. All I had to do was, if I had a little bit of an issue, just wipe it up immediately, paint's gone. No worries. Also, wow, I do really enjoy this color paint so much more. It just feels like it glows. This is Simply White by Benjamin Moore. It'll look much nicer on the walls in the living room, but the flat one on the ceiling, whew, I love it. Now, I'm no pro, but also, this is hidden, so I don't really have to worry too much about it being perfect, you know? See, look. Perfect. Wow. Oh, and it goes right underneath. Amazing. Then we just do this. Perfect. All right. Now we're just gonna feather the rest of it out. You know what's funny? Maybe this is the most obvious thing in the world, but as someone who grew up using GIMP and Photoshop and loads of different image manipulation things, I learned the word feathering from these digital image manipulation programs. However, feathering is actually from painting, clearly, because you're painting in Photoshop, and when you want it to like lightly fade in, or you want to feather it in, it's what you do with the paintbrush when you're just feathering it in on the outsides. There's your little tidbit of the day. All right, I'm putting so much effort into this place, but you know what? That's just the way I am, and even if I only lived here for 2 years, God forbid, I did what I wanted and made the place better, and it's a place that I live in that I like to call my home, so I'm gonna make it mine, you know? And if that means painting the ceilings a different shade of white, I'm gonna do it. I've finished with the cutting in. It feels like I might as well just done the whole thing, but I've now got, that little roller brush here, and a baby. Isn't he cute? This is to make sure that there's a uniform texture on the entirety of the ceiling. So I'll be using this to get like really close to the edges to cover up my atrocious brush strokes. And because I've got this lovely extendable pole, I don't have to break my back. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna keep going this way, and this is so that I can hide my bad strokes. Hello, what a fun angle this is. Boy, I am woozy. Oh boy. A very poorly ventilated room. I got a fan on now. I've got some cling film, some saran wrap. I'm gonna wrap my brushes in between the two coats. At first I was a bit upset. It looked very patchy. I tried my best to keep a wet edge and do the grid system, but when you're in the middle of it, man, it's really hard. So it's now drying and it looks a little bit better, which is nice. I'm excited to do the second coat in about 2.5 hours. But yeah, let me just wrap up my brushes so they don't get ruined. Without further ado, look at that. I think it looks great. I'm so surprised. This is actually just after one coat. I waited for it to dry, and for the most part, as you can see, it's on really, really well. There's my shadow there, but I'm just really, really happy with the way it looks. I did do a couple extra touch-ups in that area because I noticed that there was a bit of patchiness, but it dried on super smooth. I'm super happy. So I was thinking, while I'm waiting for the first coat to dry, which I didn't end up doing a full second coat for the bathroom, why don't I put paint in the hallway ceiling? And guess what? It also did really well. I'm really happy with the way this looks. I feel like this area, when I'll do some extra touch-ups for when I'm doing the whole living room, but already I can tell the difference and how much warmer it's just made my space feel. So, wow, it's such a tiny subtle difference, but I love it. Today is day 2 of the old painting of the ceilings challenge. It's a big old challenge, and I've learned a lot, okay? I have made some mistakes. I'm sure that there's already been comments about things that I've done, but that's the whole point of doing this as an amateur. You gotta learn from them, gotta make the mistakes to learn from them. And before I tell you about my mistakes and start with the sanding of my ceiling, let me tell you about today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Wow, I'm learning a skill right now. Well, Skillshare decided to sponsor my second channel. Thank you, Skillshare. If you're unaware, Skillshare is an online learning platform for curious and creative people. There are classes taught by so many different people about so many different things. Do you want to know more about house plants, interior design? Hey, they've got classes for that. I know I've been talking about painting ceilings and feathering, but hey, online feathering, Photoshop, that is a really important skill to have under your belt, as opposed to having to get other people to do quick Photoshop things for you, like make amazing thumbnails like this, straight fire. You can teach yourself, invest in yourself, and that's the best amount of investment you can ever make. The class I'm recommending today comes from Kate Silver, who works at the UK's leading Adobe training center in London, actually, and it's on the beginner's guide to Adobe Photoshop. So rather than just take all the little bits of knowledge you have about the application, why not take a class that's easy to follow, step by step, get all those tools under your belt, and then you can become a Photoshop wizard, making much better thumbnails. Then please, let me hire you. I need some help. So if you're interested in taking this class, or any of the many others that Skillshare have to offer, just click the link in my description, and the first 1,000 people to click that link get a free 1-month trial to Skillshare. So thank you very much to Skillshare for sponsoring, and without further ado, let's get back to painting the ceiling in my bedroom. So, basically, I do know some things that I've made mistakes on. First of all, I dipped that paintbrush so far in, it was basically like the brush and the handle were doing the job. Useless. I've now cleaned them. I'm only going 2 inches deep, wink, wink, and I think I'll do a little bit better. And overall, I think today's mission is to really focus on getting it done in a grid system. So just so I can maintain a wet edge, and then also after I'm done just laying on the roll, just going over it again to lay it out. I did do that in the bathroom, which I think is why it looked so good. I was concerned that wasn't what I was meant to do, but it was. Now you might be saying, Evan, why have you not disconnected your light fixtures? I actually already did disconnect this, paint around it, and put it back in. Just because I didn't like the idea of it hanging. I don't feel like disconnecting the wires. I'd rather just not have to worry about that much. I believe, so I've been told, the most difficult and time-consuming part about painting a place is the prepping. And as you can see, I've pretty much prepped. I couldn't get him out though without having to move the entire bed out, and that's just not something I plan on doing.
Who's your favorite character from SpongeBob? Sandy. It's not. So easy. What is a cut through the wood? Amazing. What a good sandwich.
One mistake that I talked about was that I had dipped the paintbrush in way too deep, and now about, 2 inches? That's about as deep as I'm going, which is, I think, more reasonable. Now, the other thing I forgot to talk about is that something that I didn't necessarily do yesterday was mix the paint, because paint separates, when you buy it, unless you buy it and just immediately start painting as soon as you get it. I think I've had it for about a month. Now, luckily it is a white, but, if you want to make sure it goes on really well, you need to make sure you mix it. So you don't have a paint stick, but I have some diffuser sticks, little reeds. So I just mixed it up, luckily, in the paint can. I think today's application will be a little bit better. So let's just let this drip out. Evan, why didn't you just take off your framed picture? Well, I'm just going to pray that I do a good job. Because I used command strips. I know I'm going to have to take it off to paint the wall anyway, but until that time, let me leave them up, okay?
Wow. I'm doing it, actually.
Evan, why did you choose these specific paints? What's going on? How'd you figure it out?
I've read a few books now. I've read books on interior design, color design, and what colors, obviously I know a bit about color theory because I'm a YouTuber and photographer that is into color grading and such. However, a lot of people have been surprised with my color scheme here and how nice it works, and they're like, green and orange? Don't you mean orange and teal or green and purple? But it works. I'm just using earth tones, which I still think looks really satisfying. Neutrals grounded by green and a rust, and I think that has ended up working out. Hence why the subtleness of the green in the back wall here will tie everything in together, because it's not just green, it's a neutral green, so it's not going to be too overpowering.
When you do put drop cloth down, just make sure it covers the whole surface area. Don't be a putz like me and...
Leave it. Now, no one's going to see this, but I'll know, so I got to get it up now.
Feather it out. Nice. Alright, I feel like I'm on a roll. It's time to roll. I've now done all of the little bits around everything, and I've done every single corner. The main goal now is to simply roll it on. So, let us start. Now I'll try and do a little bit better than the other day, right? One thing that I want to try and do this time is really make sure I'm working in a grid. So I'm just going to do this section right here, and I'm going to roll it on thick and then lay it off by taking my time with it. I think that is how we're going to do it today. All right? Can you even see over here? I hope so. I really should be working towards the window, as that's the natural source of light. So I'm going to lay it on really nice right now. I'm making sure I don't get any shadows from the sun. That would be embarrassing. People come to my house, they look at my ceiling and they go, wow, you do that yourself, bro? Look shit. And I'm like, so I'm going to try my best.
All right, so the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm going to show a bit of before and after. So here's before I performed any sort of painting on the ceiling. And here, at long last, is the after. Look at that. You're like, Evan, it's white. You're right. Also, in the space of a couple days, I also finally put down this lovely jute rug. And you might say, Evan, you've got a rug on carpet? You're right, I do. And the reason I did that is because it really signifies a space. This is, even though you could say the bed signifies space, interior design-wise, I just really wanted to cordon off this space. It really just zones the room in, makes it feel a bit more like thought out. Plus, It is a natural organic jute, which basically I want my room to feel cozy and organic. That's the word that I'm using, because that's just the vibe I want. So that's why I'm using linens, and this chunky throw is like a nice natural sage, earth tones. And I mean, just looking at it like this, I think it really just ties everything in together. So hopefully the whole place looks nice. Obviously, main video is about the ceiling here, so tell me what your thoughts are on the old ceiling, and if you've learned anything or learned what not to do from this video. Let's hope the former, not the latter. But next video in my painting series is going to be painting the walls. Not this one first. First ones are going to be just standard walls, and then the third one I believe I'm going to be doing is the board and batten. And then finally, the trim, which is the cabinets, the little floorboard, skirting board stuff, and making sure that all of that in the house is good, and switching out some metals and such. So thank you for staying up with the old DIY journey. Hope you enjoy my next couple. In the meantime, I have more DIY videos coming that aren't paint related, so stay tuned, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.